Welcome back to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy, and today we're going to tell you about the Circle K.
Don't forget to smash that like button. Check out the description for the links of all of our podcast platforms, CashApp, and Buy Me a Coffee. Like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to tell your friends. What is up, everybody? Welcome back. And to all of our new subscribers, thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, and welcome, and I hope you guys continue to enjoy our content.
Yes.
So, let's get to this story.
Yes, because I swear I don't have some weird obsession with convenience stores. But we talked about the Flying J in Resaca, Georgia with the Keeslin Roberts and Caleb Smith disappearances. If you haven't heard that one, go check it out. And now we need to talk about the Circle K in Naples, Florida.
Man, I remember the Circle Ks.
Do you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They had them all over Oklahoma. That was
Not
like,
anymore.
they was huge before like Quick Trip and all that, you know, because you had Circle Ks and then 7-Elevens.
Yeah.
And
I remember 7-Elevens.
Yeah. No, they had Circle K right there in Coweta.
Did they really?
Absolutely.
Don't remember that.
Yeah. They had Circle K right there by Roy's.
Okay.
And then they had a 7-Eleven over there by Come Go, which none of you guys listening to know.
It was a 7-Eleven, then it was a Come and Go, and now it's a Maverick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So when Come and Go and Quick Trip came in, you know, they kind of went away.
Yeah.
So
They gone.
now anytime you go, you see Circle K's like in Texas, and you'll still see 7-Elevens in Texas too.
Really? I want to go get a
Some,
Slurpee.
not a lot, but there's some.
Nice. Now, if you recall from the Flying J episode, they couldn't find a link between Keeslin and Caleb other than that they disappeared from the same Flying J within 2 days of each other. But for these two disappearances from the Circle K's, they do have something in common. So let's get into it.
Let's do this.
Do it. Terrance Williams was born to a young mother, Marcia. She said that they basically grew up together, so they were kind of best friends. As Terrance grew up, he had 4 kids of his own. And just to address this at the beginning, he had a little trouble with the law. He'd been in trouble for driving under the influence, trespassing, and spent a little time in prison for aggravated robbery. Marcia says that 27-year-old Terrance worked in construction, but also had a job at Pizza Hut, so he was grinding. On January 11th of 2004, around midnight, he went to a party at a coworker's place. He left the next morning around 6 a.m., so now we're on Monday, January 12th. And this is the last time they would see him.
And you didn't say nothing about Circle K.
Right.
At all.
No, not yet. I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
He did have a roommate who noticed that he hadn't come home. So he called around to the hospitals, but no one with Terrance's name or matching his description has been brought in. Terrance was driving around in a 1984 white Cadillac, even though he didn't have a license. So the roommate called the jails too, just to see if maybe he got picked up for that. But there was no Terrance. Tuesday, friends and family kept calling around. I'm telling you, they're calling morgues. They're calling junkyards. They're calling everything, everybody. Wednesday, Marcia had to leave work to keep searching for Terrance. She felt like she just couldn't be at work while her son was out there somewhere.
That's understandable.
Mm-hmm. She had talked to him every day, sometimes several times a day. So this was very out of character. She went to Pizza Hut and found out that by this point, he had missed 3 shifts. So friends and family start bombarding the dispatch at the sheriff's office on Thursday, January 15th, and they sent someone to take a statement from Marcia. From a series of phone calls, Marcia finds out that the car is at the tow yard and that it had been towed from a cemetery. And then when she talked to the people at the cemetery, they said that Terrance was seen being put in the back of a patrol car. So she went back to calling the sheriff's office.
So they've been, calling the jail looking for him.
Yeah, but there's no Terrance.
And did they call like hospitals?
Oh yeah,
everything?
They were calling everywhere.
Wow,
everywhere,
so
and nobody could find him.
Okay, so he's gone.
But then when they talked to the people at the cemetery, they're like, "No, we watched a cop put him in the back of a patrol car." So now she's like, "Okay, back to the sheriff's office. Find my kid. Where's he at? Last time he was seen was with you."
I got you.
And a supervisor called the deputy that was involved in that interaction, I guess is what we'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a 17-year veteran, Corporal Stephen Henry Calkins. The audio of this call is available, so we'll play it here in just a second. You're going to hear her say, I hate to bother you on your day off, but this woman's been bothering us all day. And that hit me wrong because it's a bother that her son is missing and he was last seen with your deputy.
Exactly.
And you don't seem to give a shit. Like, that bothers me.
Do your job.
Had it been me, you'd be seeing this face all day, every day, waiting for answers. Hello? They should be lucky that Marcia had just made some phone calls first and hadn't made her way down to that office. I'm going to tell you right now. But I digress. So here's the audio clip of that phone call, and it's about 2 minutes long. Just a warning.
Yeah. You want to talk about somebody that is full of shit.
So many things about that call bothered me.
Wow. I mean,
between the Mickey Mouse laugh at the beginning.
No lie.
And then him being, oh, she's talked about every deputy in this office. And he's like, oh, really?
And the fact that, you know, she mentioned that, didn't she in that call, didn't she mention that somebody had seen him?
Yes, the people at the cemetery said they saw you put
and
him in the car.
And he denied it.
Yep. No, I ain't arrested nobody.
And.
Yeah. He don't even remember the car. He doesn't remember anything about it, according to him. I have to go
back to my notes and see, you know, what.
I mean, she gives him where it was, Vanderbilt and 111th. It was on Monday. He didn't remember none of that. And that bothered Marcia big time. Because how many white Cadillacs did you find in a cemetery that week? Like,
exactly.
That kind of sticks out. Ugh.
It's not like, you know, there's just, you know, thousands of freaking white Cadillacs, just especially older ones.
Exactly.
That are just out running around.
But you'll also hear in this call that he says he never arrested nobody and there was nobody with the car. So keep that in mind. Marcia kept calling. Like, this was not okay for her. So she kept on. So Corporal Steve was called again later that day. And this time he remembered having that white Cadillac towed. Now here's the audio from the day he had it towed where he had the VIN number ran. So, I mean, he spent some time with this car. It's like, this is another problem.
And it's a little over 3 minutes long.
It is.
So just stick with us and we're going to listen through this audio and guys,
sometimes it's hard to hear.
I had to enhance it and everything because it was kind of muffled and everything. So, you know, if it's a little crackly and everything, I'm sorry, but
there's still a lot of stuff you can't make out on this call, but you're going to hear some key points.
Yeah. You're going to hear a lot of stuff and you're just going to, it's very unprofessional.
Very.
Is the nicest way I could put it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, listen to the audio. Stick with us. Just going to stop it just for a second. I hope I can kick it back on. But the way he's just joking around and everything, and, you know, it's just ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know. It's just real unprofessional the way he's handling this whole deal. But this whole thing is just not right.
No.
So I don't know if it's going to let me. Yeah, there you go. Man.
Yeah.
You want to know why there's so much hate in this world? Because of jackasses like that.
Yeah.
And
they exist.
I mean, good night. And, you know, when I say that there are good cops and there's bad cops, this is another reason why.
Yeah. Why are you a cop?
Why? And, you know, to sit there and say, oh, this is a Holmes car, whatever.
Yeah. We don't follow no rules. Yeah.
I know plenty of people of all colors that drive Cadillacs.
Oh, yeah. Old, new.
All years.
Yep.
And it does not mean nothing about it.
So what does race have to do with it?
Yeah. It just means that they like Cadillacs.
Yeah.
Period.
I like old Cadillacs.
It's a preference.
Mm-hmm. So in case you didn't understand any of that, this was him calling dispatch to run the VIN at 12:49 p.m. It's hard to hear, like I said, but you can clearly hear him saying where he adopted a horrible accent. Well, I got a homie's Cadillac on the side of the road here. Signal 11, signal 52, nobody's around. Seemed to be in a good mood, cracking jokes. Now, signal 11 is saying that the car is abandoned, and signal 52 means that it was disabled, meaning it's not running. He also says that maybe the owner is in the cemetery, and when he comes back, the car will be gone. He said the keys are over there. And then that's, like later you'll hear the dispatcher saying, oh, maybe it was a Holmes car. He would later say that he wasn't being racially insensitive. He was just joking around with a friend.
Sure, buddy.
That's how my jokes go.
But yet, when the lady comes down and says, did you tow a white Cadillac? No. I don't remember that. Was you at the cemetery? Nope. Don't remember that. Do you remember this guy? Nope. Never arrested him.
Never arrested nobody.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're on audio stating the Cadillac, where you was, everything.
Mm-hmm. But in the call where he ran the VIN number, he mentions nobody. He says nobody's around.
Okay.
Maybe the guy's in the cemetery. You know,
give you
it's
that
like,
one, but
for now,
everything else, he did.
Yep.
And so whenever she asks him and he says, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Suspicious.
Red flags.
Very suspicious.
Yep. And both of them got reprimanded for this call. Once they went back and listened to it.
Reprimanded. They should have been fired.
Oh, I'll get there. Now, the dispatcher admits that they did use inappropriate slang. So, yeah. They've both said, okay, yeah, we shouldn't have said those words, you think? Steve goes on to say, the tag came back to nothing. It's a big old white piece of junk Cadillac. I'm towing it. It was 8 days after the car was found, so on January 20th, that they had him come in and actually write up a report. He hadn't even wrote up a report on this. What? He said he didn't even want to write the report. They made him do it. So he wasn't even planning on writing up a report on this.
Yep.
Now here's what his report said. At approximately 12:15, which witnesses say that it was before 10 a.m., sometime between 9 and 10 in the morning, while on patrol, he observed a older model white Cadillac southbound on County Road 901.
So he saw it driving.
He saw it driving. It originally made it sound like he had found it abandoned.
Exactly.
Now, because remember he said, maybe when the guy comes back, it'll be gone, right?
Yeah, but I mean, the whole thing is it's abandoned, but the keys are over there.
The keys are over there.
Okay.
What?
So it's not,
There's more. Hang on.
It wasn't stolen.
No. Well, it could have been with the key. People still carts with keys.
Well, I mean, anyway, I'm not going to get into all that.
So his formal report is a lot different than these phone calls. He said the vehicle appeared to be having problems, and he motioned for the driver to pull over. Okay. So now he not only saw the car driving, he saw the driver. And he was the one who made the driver pull over. See where... The driver pulled into the parking lot of Memorial Gardens Cemetery. The driver said he had just bought the car and it was not running right, and now he was late for work. Now, note here that his mom bailed the car out from the tow yard and drove it home, saying that there was nothing wrong with the car.
Started up and ran.
Started up and drove it right home.
Okay.
He asked Corporal Steve to give him a ride to work. We'll throw in here, too, that Marcia said Terrance couldn't stand the cops, so he never would have asked a cop for a ride. He even knew that he needed to pull over in that cemetery parking lot so that he had witnesses, because in case you've never seen police brutality in real life or racial discrimination or, what cops like to do, sometimes, not all, you do that. You do things like that. You want to be in a well-lit area. You want to have witnesses around. You need it.
Yeah.
And that's how Terrance was. He needed someone else to see what was going on. And luckily he did. Now, Steve offered to call him a cab. I mean, he's not an Uber after all. And the driver said he couldn't afford one and asked Steve again to give him a ride to work. It was just up to the Circle K on Wiggins Pass Road.
I thought he was a construction worker and worked at Pizza Hut.
Right. He didn't work at Circle K.
Okay.
Right. Now, Steve put him in the back of his patrol car and took him to the Circle K, letting him out on the south side of the building. Steve told him he better make plans right away to get his car, and the driver said he would take care of it. This is when Steve asked for his name, when he finally asked for his name. So I guess up to this point, Steve wasn't worried that he might have put a wanted criminal in his car and dropped him off at a different location. Like, normally the first thing they do is run your name. Anyway, the guy said his name was Terrance. So he told Terrance about the expired tag, and Terrance told him that the receipt and paper registration was in the glove box if he wanted to check it out. Steve drove back to the car, and the glove box was empty. The keys were in the floorboard. So that bothered me because that's a discrepancy, because in the call, when he ran the VIN number, he said the keys are over there.
Mm-hmm.
Over where? And witnesses say that the keys were on the ground outside of the car. So that matches. Steve checked with dispatch, that audio recording about him finding the homie's Cadillac lately. So now, is it considered racially insensitive now that we know Terrance was black? Yes, absolutely. Because at first, We didn't know what color Terrance was. Now that we know he was black and this cop is calling him racially or calling him a homie's car and a Holmes car, like that shows that he had interaction with this guy. He knew this guy was black. So yes, he was making a racial statement.
Yeah, basically he's targeting him.
100%.
Yeah.
But that's how he found out that the tag on the car had expired in 2001 and it wasn't registered. So there's nothing to show that it was in Terrance's name. Steve called the Circle K and found out that no one knew of a Terrance, much less one that worked there. He wrote, "I now feel that Terrance has deceived me."
It's funny how all these details suddenly came out, 4 days later.
Yeah, all of a sudden he remembers all kinds of things. Must have some really good notes.
But yet, he didn't know. He didn't do none of that.
No. Now on day 4, he didn't even remember having the car towed, and now he has everything.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
4 days later. He says he called for the wrecker at this point, thinking that the car had been abandoned or maybe stolen. Okay. You've already said that you took Terrance somewhere else. So how did he abandon his own car? You took him.
Yeah, you're the one that took him away from his car.
Exactly. After the wrecker picked up the car, Steve went back to the Circle K and checked the area but couldn't find Terrance. And that was the end of his statement. I will also point out that he said that he called the Circle K to verify that Terrance worked there, remember? But his cell phone records show that he did not call the Circle K that day. So, another lie. An employee of the Circle K did say that Corporal Steve came in and used the bathroom, and Terrance filled a gas can and left alone. But the sheriff's office said in a press release that surveillance footage disproved that. Like neither one of them were on surveillance. We do know that at about 1:12, after the car was towed, Corporal Steve had a background check ran on Terrance, giving Terrance's full name and date of birth. Now, how did he suddenly know that? Where did he get that from?
Exactly.
He'd already dropped Terrance off. Terrance only gave him his first name. How did he get his middle initial, his last name, and his date of birth? Now, he did give the date of birth that Terrance sometimes gave the police to keep from going to jail. So it's like a fake one. So obviously not his real birth date. But still, Steve would have had to get that somehow. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He never mentioned that. He only knows his first name. When asked how he got the information, he said, "Oh, maybe Terrance gave it to me. Maybe he found it on something in the car. Or maybe Terrance had it written on his arm or finger."
That's the dumbest shit I ever heard.
What? You don't write your full name and birth date on your finger? Just
Well,
in case
you know
need it?
what? I mean, I got, hold on.
You're weird.
I got because I got the kids' initials and birthdates on my arm.
You do? You do, but not your own.
No, I don't. No,
Okay.
I'm not like your uncle.
Stop it.
And have his name tattooed on his arm.
Me proud.
It was funny.
Now, there are theories that when he went back to that Circle K to look for Terrance, that maybe he did find him, or that he actually had a different altercation the first time the two met. Either way, they weren't buying Steve's stories. And Steve allegedly told people, "I think he's down there sneaking around in drag or something." So now he's a cross-dresser.
Oh.
What?
Okay, so what does that matter?
Exactly. Why even throw that in? So now you're just showing all your areas, all your problems.
Okay.
He's a top-notch dude.
Yeah.
They ended up giving him 3 polygraph tests. He passed one, showed deception on one, and failed one altogether. But it's a polygraph, so whatever.
Yeah.
Terrance's mom, Marcia, filed a complaint against Corporal Steve. Good call. When the sheriff's office got to digging around in Steve's file, they found out that there was another complaint that had been filed against him 3 months earlier. Felipe Santos was a 23-year-old undocumented Mexican national. He had been here for about 3 years and was working in concrete, sending money back to his family in Mexico. He was known to be polite and quiet. He wore his hair short, but it sounds like he had a rat tail, so he kept one strand long and braided it. He had a baby daughter and loved being a dad. And he basically went to work, home, and the laundromat. That was his life.
Yeah. And so just for reference, who's watching the video and everything, we've got the missing poster up on the left. It shows Terrance and then Felipe.
Felipe's on the right. Yep.
Yep.
On October 14th of 2003, Felipe and two of his brothers were on their way to work at 6:30 in the morning. Felipe was driving when his white 1988 Ford Tempo hit another car by the Green Tree Shopping Center. Though it's not really clear who exactly caused the accident, but nobody got hurt. Hell, there was minor damage to the cars. They pulled into a gas station parking lot, and it was Corporal Steve who decided the accident was Felipe's fault, and he put Felipe in the back of his patrol car for reckless driving and driving without a license or insurance. Later that day, Felipe's boss called to post his bail, only to find out that Felipe had never been booked in.
Really?
Really.
And this is after?
This was 3
Terrance's?
months before Terrance.
Oh, before.
Yeah, this is what they're finding out now.
Oh.
Yes.
So we got us a
Serial
killer.
Mm.
Serial killer.
Did you get that out?
Yeah, I know. I kind of got tongue-tied on that.
You did.
You know.
In another deputy's report from that incident, it says, I was informed that Deputy Calkins took Felipe to the Circle K gas station at 10996 Winterview Drive.
Boy, this fucking Circle K is busy.
This is a different one.
Oh, this is another one?
Yeah, it just seems like Corporal Steve likes the Circle K.
He must be getting him a big gulp.
No, because he's not in any of the surveillance footage.
Oh, okay.
Deputy Calkins knew that the clerk at the Circle K would translate for him to obtain Felipe's information for the crash report and citations. Felipe does not speak English. This is also a good place for Felipe to use a telephone and wait for a ride because his vehicle was towed. Deputy Calkins obtained the information needed, issued Felipe citations, and left him there to call for a ride. Now, why he took him a couple of blocks down the road to that Circle K is unknown. They were in a damn gas station parking lot to begin with.
Yeah.
The foreman from the job they were working on was on his way to pick up Felipe's brothers, and he did pick them up. So why take Felipe down a couple of blocks to find his own ride? Like, it's not even adding up. Because only Steve says that he dropped him off at that Circle K. Nothing they have found has proven that he did.
So they can't track his car?
So this is 2004 and 2003 at this point. They didn't have that yet. They couldn't track his phone. They couldn't track his car. It was a little different back then. Yeah, that's what they've said. This particular police station did not have that ability at the time.
Oh, okay.
Corporal Steve says that Felipe was polite and cooperative, so he just let him out at the Circle K, and he last saw him walking towards the payphones. He said that he gave him the citations and his car keys, telling him to not drive his car anymore until he could get a valid driver's license. Now, another thing to point out, the signatures on the citations that he gave Felipe that day don't match Felipe's handwriting. So, okay.
All right.
They're all different, and none of them look like Felipe's. Steve then had a time of unsupervised random patrol before reporting to take a statement from someone at a hospital. According to the timeline given by the brothers and the other person in the accident, it would have had to be about 2 hours of unaccounted for time after he took off with Felipe. Now, like I said, they couldn't track his phone, they couldn't do anything, but they could see how much he worked that day. And they see that Corporal Steve worked a partial shift that day. He left work early, and no one knew why.
Okay.
Anyway, the other driver in that accident also said that Steve was irritated with Felipe's lack of paperwork, saying he was tired of pulling people over that didn't have a license. He seemed agitated and annoyed. In fact, one of his cop buddies later said what made Calkins really angry was these Mexicans or blacks that were uninsured or driving with no license.
Good night.
Well, come to Oklahoma, buddy. There's plenty of white people riding dirty. Like, it's not a race thing, I promise you.
Yeah.
I promise you. I swear. No one's... Oh, nobody we know, though.
There's plenty of people here that don't have licenses or anything.
Exactly.
You just got to watch your ass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, once they found out that Felipe wasn't arrested and he never came back, one of his brothers filed a missing person report and that complaint against Steve. The sergeant who handled the internal affairs investigation said he questioned Steve, saying whenever I asked him a question, he would go directly to the report and just start reading from the report or whatever memo he wrote. He was pretty much like reading from a book. Instead of just, talking to me. Tell me in your own words what happened. But Steve was cleared of any wrongdoing, and the police said Felipe was in hiding because he was afraid of being deported.
So did they even look into it?
They never talked to his brothers or his common-law wife, Apollonia. The Circle K had cameras inside but not outside, and Felipe was not caught on any of their footage. Reading through a lot of the reports, there is talk about a couple of searches for both men over the years. Several places. I mean, they did search a lot of places, if it's correct. Some sightings that didn't pan out, like, I saw Terrance the next day at Circle K, but then when they go pull the footage and go through it, there's no Terrance on that footage. So it's like things like that. They had bodies that would turn up, but they would be able to exclude Terrance and Felipe from them. And there were also tips that came in saying it was widely known in the area that cops take people out to the Everglades and they never come back. Yeah. They did search parts of the Everglades, but that's some sketchy shit out there. So they did what they could, but there's just too much in them swamps. In 2017, a tip came in from someone claiming they used to work with Steve at a convenience store back in the day, and Steve would cringe when a minority came in. They also said that Steve told them he belonged to the club, and they had meetings in Fort Myers, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale.
Well, like the KKK?
Don't know. He just called it
the club.
Sounds great.
Okay.
The investigator asked around, but they never found out what club he was talking about. Of course, they're not going to talk about it. In that call where he called it the homie's Cadillac, he also said that maybe it was a Golden Gate car. And I tried to Google that, but it's not pulling up as slang for anything, but it's got to be something. Maybe it's something more local. So if anyone knows what that means, I need to know. So please let me know.
Yeah.
And now what do we know about Steve? Looking through his personnel records, I saw that after he graduated from high school in Illinois, he was self-employed as a grain farmer for about 13 years. He became a security guard at a nuclear power plant for about 4 months, and then moved to Florida and applied to be a deputy a few months later. He listed 1 speeding ticket on his paperwork, so he had a squeaky clean record. He worked road patrol for just over 5 years before being transferred to youth relations. In his performance appraisal report 2 months later, he wrote, "It will be nice to get away from road patrol. If I wanted to get called out in the middle of the night, I would have joined the SRU a long time ago. Field force will be great for young deputies. I need to take care of my family at night. I am 46 years old and have seen enough. I have the nightmares to prove it."
Oh, he was getting fed up.
Sounds like it. And that was 3 or 4 years before Terrance and Felipe. So he was not happy. He did get transferred to youth relations on May 22nd of 2001, but was back to the North Naples district by June 18th. So not even a month later. Otherwise,
Naples, Florida.
Yeah, that's where this is. Naples.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, he had a lot of good jobs and attaboys on his report cards. He got a Field Interview Top 10 award, 2 life-saving awards, and a safe driving award. But he was tired, boss.
Dog tired.
Yeah, dog tired. In 2001, weirdly, he stopped arresting people. Remember when he said in that call, "I haven't arrested nobody in a while"? Yeah, that's because he stopped arresting people in 2001. He took a man to jail in August, and that was it. He would go on to write almost 400 incident reports and didn't arrest a single person after that. Hell, he was only writing like 1 ticket a month for a lot of that time. The sheriff's office was shocked when that was pointed out to them. They didn't even notice, or maybe they just didn't give a shit. Also around this time that Terrance and Felipe disappeared, they started finding tickets that Steve had written that he had never turned in. The people never showed up for court and never paid the tickets, meaning there was no proof that these were real interactions that he had with people. An old cop buddy had said that Steve felt like it was just a revolving door. They'd be back out on the streets before the cops could finish the paperwork. One of these possible fake incidents was on the day that Terrance disappeared, just before 2 p.m., opening up his timeline of inactivity for that day. So if it wasn't real, then that means that he was working on stuff involving Terrance from around 10 a.m. until he actually responded to a house alarm going off at 2:51 p.m. That's a big old gap. Plus, if Terrance left the party at 6 a.m. and didn't go home, where was he for 6 hours? Like if it was noon when he pulled Terrance over or afternoon, what did he do for that 6 hours? There's a lot of unaccounted for time in this case, and I don't like it. Terrance and Felipe both had warrants issued for their arrests after they disappeared. Terrance's was out of Tennessee for failure to pay child support, and they talked about Felipe's in a letter from the Consulate General of Mexico in October of 2004 that said that Felipe's two brothers were not interviewed in the investigation and that a warrant was issued for Felipe's arrest after or for failure to appear on the citation that Corporal Calkins claims he gave to Mr. Santos. So they're like, he wrote him a fake ticket and then they issued a warrant for him for not showing up when Felipe, they think, never even got that ticket. So how would he know? He failed to attend because he disappeared after Corporal Calkins arrested him, not because he tried to avoid or had fear to appearing before courts. So even the consulate of Mexico is like, this is hinky.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like everybody can see that this, the shit ain't adding up.
Everybody sees that this is not right.
Yeah.
Now, Terrance's mom, Marcia, filed a civil wrongful death suit on behalf of Terrance's estate and his kids in 2018. Her lawyer missed the deadline in 2020 to file for trial, and they blamed it on the pandemic and other things. So the pandemic was kind of throwing everything out of whack for a long time. But in December of 2020, Steve was questioned, which allowed them to get more information. The point of the civil suit, which most civil suits like this, the point of it is to force that person to have to talk, to force them to have to answer questions under oath, and then you can use that in your criminal investigation. So they did get a little more information out of it. But in 2021, the judge said that they failed to establish excusable neglect, and she issued a final judgment that Terrance's estate and his kids shall take nothing from Deputy Steve.
So I don't like the way, she said that.
Me neither. I was like, what do you mean take nothing? Like they're taking from him? What the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
He was allegedly the last one seen taking both men away in his patrol car and they're never seen again.
Yeah.
Just 3 months apart. He took something from them. Get your head out of your ass. The judge even made Terrance's estate pay Steve about $5,600 for costs related to the lawsuit. What the fuck? They did appeal, but they lost. They did not win. And Tyler Perry got involved. He did a documentary on this case. I haven't seen it, but it's on Paramount Plus apparently if you want to watch it. He also offered a $200,000 reward for information leading to the locations of Terrance and Felipe. There are several theories, I'm sure, from Florida's version of a Starlight tour to him beating them to death and leaving them to the alligators, panthers, and bears, all the things in the Everglades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so what happened to Steve?
Corporal Steve. Well, on August 20th of 2004, the internal affairs investigation was closed. Steve was fired, so there you go, for noncompliance with rules and regulations, untruthfulness, and conduct unbecoming of an officer. It seems that they have found a couple of dozen inconsistencies in his statement as to what happened with Terrance. Well, yeah, we pointed most of them out right here. The sheriff at the time said, "I have lost trust in Calkins and his ability to describe incidents in detail and to recall them." Yeah, because he's lying. After Terrance disappeared, he was forced to appear in front of a federal grand jury, but he refused to testify. He worked at UPS until 2013 when he quit, and he caused quite a scene and had to be escorted out. So apparently he was working on the line and his conveyor jammed, and somebody was like, "Hey, fix your shit." And he's like, "Fuck you, I quit." But it lasted a very long time. There was a lot of yelling, but that boils down to how he quit. He and his wife sold their house and moved to Iowa in 2016. So the police finally got the chance to search that Florida house. They couldn't get a warrant until then, but since they sold it and moved out, the police could go in there and kind of look around. They even brought in cadaver dogs and ground penetrating radar. No human remains were found on the property. So I guess he's still in Iowa and is now about 70 years old. He hasn't talked about the case much outside of what we see in reports and hear from the family. His lawyer described him as more the Andy Griffith type. Sounds like it. Steve did say that he might have broken some rules, but never broke any laws. And quote, "I'm not going to get drugged through the mud no more because of a couple of scumbags are missing." End quote. Now they're scumbags.
That sounds like something Andy Griffith was saying.
I mean, I could see him saying it in my head as I was reading it.
Yeah.
But anyways, so let's bring it back to the victims to close this out. Terrance is an African-American male around 5'8" tall and weighed 160 pounds when he went missing. He has brown hair and brown eyes. He has a T tattooed above his left chest, an ET tattoo on his right shoulder, and Terrance on his left forearm in red with blue highlights. See, he has his name tattooed on him too.
Okay.
He has a gold crown with the letter T on it on his upper right front tooth, and his left front tooth is solid gold. He has
gold crown with the letter T
right
on his tooth?
On his tooth.
That's cool.
Right? I was like, I wonder if I can get that. Anyways.
That's different.
He has a vertical scar on his right shoulder and a dark birthmark on the right side of his abdomen. He was last seen wearing a short sleeve shirt, blue jeans, and Timberland boots. He had diamond earrings and a watch with a silver band. The face of the watch is surrounded by white stones. Felipe is a Hispanic male who is 5'7" tall and was about 150 pounds at the time of his disappearance. He was last seen wearing a t-shirt, blue jeans, and boots.
Yeah.
There's not a lot about Felipe out there. But
well,
yeah.
It sucks, because, where you say about the Everglades and everything, that's,
Yeah.
It's probably something like that, It's something with the alligators or something, probably more than likely.
A lot of the theories are, okay, well, he didn't have time to do all this. So some people theorize that he maybe had a place to hold them or had help.
Yeah. Well, you said that on, what was it, Felipe, he took part of the day off.
He only worked, like a half day that day. Left early that day. Mm-hmm.
But, and it's like, whenever you said that Terrance pulled over to a busy place.
Yes.
So, that's good.
Witnesses.
Yeah, that's really good. But then, you got other people, that are making videos and everything else, this is where you like distinguish like good and bad cops. You got the bad cops that you can tell when they come up to the window, they're fixing to start some shit. And
got that air
about
them.
And video it. You know what I mean? Whenever you're
now, yes.
Yeah, whenever you're doing it now, video it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you got some that are actually coming up and they're being really respectful and they're doing their job and they're doing what they're supposed to. And the person that got pulled over is being an ass.
Yeah. They're a shit starter.
They're sitting there videoing it and they're sitting there trying to, do this and that. And then they're wondering why they're getting arrested.
Exactly.
And, they, all in all, even the good cops have to do their job.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, even the good ones will, be more lenient, but you can tell them apart. Like we have them.
Yeah.
And I've gotten in arguments with them, but I've gotten arguments with them because they was assholes from the beginning.
Same.
And she's heard me yelling at them because they're going to get what they give.
Very true.
With me. But if they come at me and they're respectful, buddy, you're good to go.
Well, even
you do your job and I'll shake your hand at the end of it.
We know people that have been in trouble with the law off and on for a long time.
Yep.
And they know the drill. Once you get pulled over, once you get caught, yes, sir. No, sir.
Absolutely.
Answering all the questions because you don't want there to be any way. Don't give them any reason to do anything. I was respectful, Judge. I did my part. I answered all their questions. They were the ones yelling at me. They were the one, you want to have that deniability that you were doing all these wrong things, because if you start instigating, and sometimes it doesn't even, like he said, you don't even have to instigate. They just come in hot. Yeah. So,
and but this one right here, it's like,
he sounds like he was,
like I said, he was just an ass. I mean, he was targeting these guys.
He was tired.
tired.
He stopped writing tickets.
Well,
I mean, he was tired of his
you know
job.
what? Go find another fucking job. I mean, shit.
Exactly.
If you're tired of what you're doing, then fucking find something or retire.
Exactly.
Be done with it. I mean, hell, you're already in Naples, Florida. Freaking retire and be done.
You can't blame the job at that point.
You know, I mean, I guess it was Naples, Florida, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, just go ahead and retire and be done. You're already in a nice freaking place.
Exactly. Go to desk duty. I mean, if you're tired of dealing with people, there's plenty of jobs in law enforcement that are not working the beat. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Come on.
Yeah, get your head out your ass.
Get your head out of your ass.
But anyway.
If you have any information, you can contact Collier County Sheriff's Office at 239-252-9300, Crime Stoppers at 800-780-TIPS, or the Q Center. It has a 24-hour tip line, and you can call 910-232-1687. That got really bright.
They got really bright. But hey, thank you guys for watching. If you guys would like to contribute, I got them up on the monitor. It's DNA at truecrime.com at gmail.
For CashApp.
At gmail.com. Or buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/MWTM.
Mm-hmm.
Most of all, we're just looking for subscribers. Till next time, guys.
Bye.